Well, I don't take my reassurance from the Spanish Parliament. Nothing that Partido Popular or Vox say about sovereignty of Gibraltar is going to give me any reassurance. I'm very clear, because I've been involved in the negotiation, that from the first moment, this was never going to be a sovereignty negotiation, but there are issues where you just need to make sure that sovereignty aspects of things that are done, although neutralized in a without prejudice clause, do not somehow make their way back in. But I was very heartened indeed to see my old friend, Senor Melaver, who would have been in New York this week if he hadn't moved to Sumar and to the Congress of People Deputies in Madrid, say that actually on sovereignty, people have got to understand, and this is a guy who was an ambassador of Spain at the United Nations, that the only way that the world works now is respecting not just interests but also wishes of people, and that if Spain wanted the sovereignty of Gibraltar, it had to win the hearts of the Gibraltarians. And he was right as to that process, although of course he's wrong as to what the potential outcome may be. But that approach is an approach that is the right approach in keeping with international law and the resolutions I've just quoted in New York to the committee, the fourth committee of the General Assembly.
Uncomfortable listening for some, the reference to the Policía Nacional at the airport, or that information on the naval base will be made available to Spain?
Well, all of these things are things that I've already said and explained. I explained it when I came back from Brussels, on Gibraltar Today, on Viewpoint, I think, that same night, on one or two direct democracies since then. I've explained where the Policía Nacional is going to be in the context of the airport, how that is neutralized by the fact that the Gibraltar Police will also, or the BCA, will also be on Spanish territory, on this equidistant second-line check area, which we've nicknamed the Schengen Shack. So nobody should be surprised at this, but I think there is an element of a bit of community amnesia, I go on television, Joseph Garcia goes on television, and we explain things. People then hear the same thing said in Spanish 2 months later, and they say, this is terrible. We're hearing from the Spanish, things that we should have been told by our government. But ladies and gentlemen, you were told by your government 2 months ago.
I may be stating the obvious, but do you think that people need to be made aware that there will be 4 sides and each will have to play to their own gallery?
Well, I don't think that it's about playing to the gallery. I think this is going to be slightly different. Here, you've got everything that I've said about what the agreement means and everything that Joseph has said about what the agreement means, and other of my ministers who have spoken about the agreement, because we've shared here at the cabinet table what it is that we were prepared to agree. And then you've got what other parties may have said. You've got the Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, who's as much a part of the UK agreement as we are. We are one side to this. You've got the European version and the Spanish version, although they, of course, are also one side. There's also going to be a lot of other documents. There's going to be memoranda of understanding. There's going to be lots of documents around the treaty to make the treaty work. All of those will be published and visible. And so people will be able to look at the things I have said we have agreed and the text which reflects that agreement. And I will have to persuade people that what I've told them we've agreed is what the treaty reflects. So will Jose Manuel, so will Marcos, and so would the British Foreign Secretary, who's now no longer David, it's now Yvette, right? So those tests against objective facts, against objective texts, will be done as soon as the text is ready. I can tell you that this afternoon, the Attorney General, Michael Llamas, is in Brussels looking at treaty text with all the other sides also. This is progress, this is constant, this is happening every day. It's happening with me and with the Deputy Chief Minister and other ministers and the Attorney General in particular, who's leading the technical negotiation for Gibraltar. It's happening on digital form, it's happening through video conferences, it's happening through telephone conferences. It's constant work since the 11th of June to get to this text.
Senor Albares actually mentioned a time frame of autumn for the treaty text. Do you agree with this? Are we on track for this?
We are on track to hopefully be able to conclude the treaty text by the end of the autumn, which is the 21st of December. I do hope that we'll be able to do it in that time frame. For me, of course, you've heard me say before, the important thing is the text itself, not the timing. It's hugely important for us that we ensure that the treaty text does what we've said the agreement is and what the political agreement reflects. And if we had to go beyond that period, well, we would go beyond that period. We don't want to. We want to finish very quickly. It may be possible to finish during the course, the early part of the autumn if we can, but the right words on the page are what really matters. And let me just anecdotally tell you, for example, I've read something that Wendy has said about, Wendy Cumming, the Ombudsman, has said about us not being able to fulfill a commitment to provide own motion investigations. The government is fully committed to that. There's a motion of the Parliament where we're committed to it. There's a manifesto commitment to do it. Why do I mention that now? Because it appears that people don't realize just how all-consuming this process has been. Now that there is agreement, we have a bit more time. We're able to do more things. I'm starting to have more clinics. I'm starting to do other things, but I still am tethered to ensuring that the treaty text is right. And legislating in areas which were non-essential, if I may say so with respect, has not been something that we have been able to turn our attention to. If we haven't demonstrated how tired, how exhausted, and how difficult this process has been to get to agreement, then I think we've persuaded people that it's been easier than it has been. This has been extraordinarily difficult. It's given us no bandwidth for anything else.